Hi everyone, and thank you to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present this work on behalf of the IeDEA Pediatric West African Cohort about the weight and BMI-for-age evolution before and after the initiation of Dolutegravir-Based regimen among adolescents. So you may all know that Dolutegravir is recommended as the preferred first and second line antiretroviral for adolescents living with HIV worldwide. But Dolutegravir-based ART regimens may lead to excessive weight gain, leading to overweight and obesity, as it has been shown in several studies among adults living with HIV after introduction or switch to dolutegravir. For children and adolescents, however, data remains somehow limited, and this is especially the case in resource-limited settings where dolutegravir has been recently introduced, and these data are also conflicting. In this table, I summarized some of the main results available regarding weight gain on dolutegravir-based regimen for children, adolescents, and young adults. For example, the Odyssey trial showed a difference of 1 kilogram at 96 weeks between the dolutegravir group compared to the control group. In a cohort in Eswatini, BMI evolution was 0.3 before introduction to dolutegravir, and 1.2 kg per square meter per year after introduction to dolutegravir. Also at CROI this year, a Spanish cohort showed a greater increase in BMI Z-score among participants who switched to dolutegravir compared to those who did not. There are also some studies published and ongoing who did not highlight significant differences in weight gains, such as in Cohort in France, in Europe, and also in the US, with Dr. Patel's work, which had been presented at this workshop last year. In West Africa and within the IeDEA West African cohort, which I will present in more detail soon, among a large sample of adults living with HIV, a 12-month dolutegravir exposure was associated with a significant weight gain, defined as over 10% increase compared to before dolutegravir exposure. And it was especially true for participants with a higher BMI at baseline, as you can see on this graph. And this work was also presented at CROI this year. So within the same study setting, we were wondering what is happening for adolescents living with HIV who transition into dolutegravir-based regimen. So our objective was to describe the weight and the body mass index for age evolution following the transition to dolutegravir-based ART regimens among adolescents living with HIV. This study has been conducted with the IeDEA Pediatric West African Cohort, which is part of the IeDEA International Collaboration. This prospective cohort has started in 2006 with currently 10 pediatric clinical centers in 7 countries, including Nigeria, who joined our collaboration recently. In 2022, more than 11,000 children and adolescents living with HIV were enrolled and followed in this cohort. In West Africa, as a reminder, transition to dolutegravir started in 2019 for adolescents. Then, following the updates of the WHO recommendations, this has been extended to children under 20 kilos in 2021. Our study population was adolescents aged 10 to 19 years old, followed in the pediatric cohort who initiated or transitioned to dolutegravir-based regimens before the database closure on September 2022. Participants also needed to have at least one available data on weight within the 24 months before initiating dolutegravir and at least one data after 3 months on dolutegravir. We then restricted our analysis to IeDEA clinical centers with at least 10 adolescents fulfilling the above criteria. We measured mean weight and mean BMI-for-age Z-score according to the WHO child growth standards within a time window between 24 months prior and 24 months after dolutegravir initiation, with time points every 6 months. We conducted individual linear mixed models with 2 slopes to estimate the weight and BMI-for-age slope trajectory prior and after dolutegravir initiation. So overall in our cohorts, 1,467 adolescents initiated or transitioned to dolutegravir, and 79% of them had at least one available data on weight in the 24 months prior dolutegravir initiation. But only 15% of them had available data on weight 3 months after dolutegravir initiation, and this is partly due to the short follow-up time on dolutegravir documented before the database closure. Finally, 146 adolescents were included in this analysis. 58% were males, 68% were from Nigeria, and we also had adolescents from Burkina Faso and Côte d'Ivoire contributing to this analysis. The median age at ART initiation was 3.2 years old, and the median age at dolutegravir initiation was 13.2 years old, with an interquartile range between 11.7 and 14.7. Overall, except for 2 adolescents who were ART naive before dolutegravir initiation, all adolescents had been on long-term ARV treatment before transitioning to dolutegravir. Regarding weight evolution, here is the predicted curve from the linear mix model with the sample size and mean weight at each time point below. We did not see any differences between the slope trajectories prior and after dolutegravir initiation, with a mean estimated increase of 0.15 kg per month prior dolutegravir initiation and 0.12 kg per month after dolutegravir initiation. And you can see the confidence intervals were overlapping. Regarding BMI-for-age evolution expressed in this score, similarly, the predicted curve does not show any significant increase in BMI z-scores, and the slope trajectories prior and after dolutegravir initiation remain similar, with confidence intervals also overlapping. So, also very descriptive, this first analysis on a selected sample did not highlight any excessive weight or BMI gain in the 24 months after dolutegravir initiation among West African adolescents. These results have to be taken with caution because it is a before and after study with no comparative groups, and because of the small sample size with a short follow-up time after dolutegravir initiation. As a perspective, close monitoring of the effects of the transition towards dolutegravir-based regimens in this population, with improvements of anthropometric data collection and extended follow-up must remain a priority. Finally, as the transition to dolutegravir scales up, and given that the potential risk for excessive weight gain remains, the impact of dolutegravir-based ART regimens among adolescents living with HIV deserves further exploration, focusing especially on metabolic disorders and cardiovascular comorbidities. So I would like to thank the participants who provided data for this study, all our team members, and the IeDEA West African collaboration, and our funders. Thank you for your attention. I will be glad to receive your comments and questions during this session or by email. Thanks again.